I was standing at the window, both palms wrapped around a mug that had gone cold 20 minutes ago, when the emptiness in spot 17C hit me like a fist to the sternum. Nothing was there. Not a shadow, not a tire mark, not even the faint oil stain my Audi used to leave after a long drive. Just bare, mocking concrete and the faint smell of November trying to crawl through the glass. That was the moment the last thread snapped. I didn't drop the mug. I didn't scream. I set the coffee down with the kind of deliberate care you use when you're handling something explosive, and I whispered to the silence, "You will never take another thing from me." My name is Lena Harper, 31 years old, senior designer on the verge of partner, and for the first time in my life, I was about to treat my own heart like a building that deserved to be defended. I knew who had it before I even picked up the phone. I knew the way you know a storm is coming when the air turns metallic, and every bird disappears. Mom answered on the second ring, voice already dipped in sugar and defense. "Lena, honey, before you say anything. Where is my car, Mom?" A pause just long enough for guilt to slip through the crack. "We didn't steal it, sweetheart. Dad borrowed it for Jonah. He had that interview across the river and the buses." Borrowed. I tasted the word and found it rotten. "Yes, borrowed. You gave us the spare key for emergencies, remember? When you moved in, you said." "I remember giving it to you the day I moved in because I thought emergencies meant hospital runs, not handing my brother a luxury getaway car for whatever mess he's in this week." Jonah, 27 years old and still operating under the belief that the universe had installed me as his personal ATM, and Uber rolled into one. 2 DUIs, 3 wrecked cars that were never his to begin with, for jobs that lasted less than a paycheck, and a permanent residency in the role of golden child, who could do no wrong, because I was always there to absorb the wrong for him. I closed my eyes and the memories lined up like evidence photos. 17-year-old me clutching the acceptance packet from the most prestigious architectural fellowship on the East Coast. Full ride, except for the plane ticket and first month's housing. $2,000. I sat at the kitchen table and asked. Dad rubbed the back of his neck the way he did when money got tight. "We're stretched thin right now, kiddo. But you're smart. You'll find another way." 5 days later, Jonah's band needed new amps and a van repair. For grand materialized like it grew on trees. Mom kissed his cheek and beamed. "We can't let his talent go to waste." Then she turned to me with the same smile and said, "You understand, Lena. You always do." I understood. I was the family's shock absorber. The one who could take the hit so no one else had to feel it. I understood that understanding was just another word for disposable. Back in my kitchen, 31 years old, paid off car missing. I finally stopped understanding. "Bring it back," I said. My voice didn't shake. It was quiet the way deep water is quiet right before it swallows you. "Lena, be reasonable. Jonah is trying to turn things around. Bring it back in the next hour, or I call the police and hand them the written confession you just texted me." The text in question was already glowing on my second monitor. "We gave it to Jonah. He needs it more than you do." I hung up before the tears could start. Because I knew the tears were coming. They always did. But this time I decided they would be mine to weaponize. My hands moved on their own, muscle memory from years of drafting perfect lines and airtight details. I opened the folder I'd never admitted I was keeping. A private vault labeled simply receipts. Years of screenshots. Bank transfers labeled loan that never came back. Birthday. Money that disappeared into Jonah's emergencies. The Christmas I turned 26, and my gift was a coffee mug that said "World's Best Sister," while Jonah unwrapped a 65-inch OLED. Every time I swallowed disappointment and told myself it was fine. I added today's messages as they flooded in. "Dad, it's just a car, Lena. Don't blow this out of proportion. Aunt Viv, your mother is beside herself. Have you no heart? Uncle Troy, blood is thicker than metal. Think of your grandmother. Cousin Becca, who I haven't spoken to since high school, praying for families torn apart by greed. So sad. I saved every single one. Timestamped. Screenshot. Cloud backup running in real time. Then I dialed 911 and spoke the sentence I never thought I'd say out loud. I need to report a stolen vehicle. I have the thieves' names, phone numbers, and written confessions. 2 of them are my parents. The dispatcher asked me to repeat that. I did. Slowly, savoring every syllable. Officer Delgado arrived looking like he'd seen every flavor of family betrayal this city had to offer. He took one look at the 3-inch binder I slid across the counter, and actually whistled under his breath. Title and my name only. Final payoff stub dated 3 weeks ago. Insurance listing me as sole insured driver. Key fob log showing the car was disarmed at 5:07 a.m. with the spare I'd handed over for emergencies. And the crown jewel. Mom's text glowing in 12-point font. Delgado flipped through it like he was reading a crime novel he couldn't put down. You're sure you want to press charges against your own parents? I'm sure I want my car back without cigarette burns and whatever bodily fluids my brother has added to the upholstery. After that, I'm sure I want them to learn that my life is not their communal property. He closed the binder. Bolo is going out right now. Midnight blue Audi Q5, plates Lena 31. If your brother gets pulled over. When? I corrected. He gave me the smallest nod of respect I'd ever been offered by a stranger in uniform. I made it to the office 2 hours late smelling like panic and someone else's rental car. Mara took one look at me, canceled my morning meetings, and poured me into the conference room with the good coffee. By noon the entire firm knew anyway, because Mom decided the appropriate place to stage her breakdown was our lobby. I came down the elevator to the sound of her voice ricocheting off marble like gunfire. My own daughter is trying to put her brother in prison over a car. Security was already moving in. Half the office stood frozen with lattes halfway to their mouths. I walked straight past her, heels clicking like punctuation marks. Remove her. I told Robert the guard. She's trespassing on private property. Mom's face went slack with genuine shock. She had expected tears, bargaining, the old Lena who would hustle her outside to keep the scene contained. Instead I looked her dead in the eye and said, "This is my workplace. Leave. Now." Robert took her elbow. She shrieked my name all the way to the revolving doors. I thought the elevator ride back up would be the moment I shattered. Instead I felt something lock into place inside my chest, solid, load-bearing, permanent. The rest of the day unfolded like a support group I never knew I had. Co-workers I barely spoke to appeared at my desk with quiet stories. My dad forged my signature on a motorcycle loan when I was 19. My mom cleaned out my savings for my sister's 3rd wedding. My brother lived in my condo rent-free for 5 years and still called me selfish when I changed the locks. Every story ended the same. I wish I'd done what you're doing. One of the named partners sent orchids with a note. The promotion vote was unanimous. Take whatever time you need. At 4:42 p.m. the jail called. I answered on speaker, recording. Lena. Jonah's voice was thick with whatever cocktail he'd managed to get his hands on before getting pulled over. Fix this. No. I only needed it for a couple hours. You put 438 miles on it, left weed resin on my steering wheel, and puked in the passenger footwell. That's not a couple hours. That's a bender. You can buy another one. I bought that one with 5 years of weekends I didn't take, vacations I didn't go on, and nights I worked until the janitors kicked me out. You don't get to decide it's replaceable. You're really gonna let them lock me up over a fucking car? I'm letting the legal system deliver the consequences you've spent your entire adult life dodging. Bon appétit. He cried. I hung up and added the recording to the vault. The DA called the next morning sounding like a man who had seen every possible version of human failure, and was still somehow surprised. Your family's attorney is offering a plea before arraignment. Misdemeanor for your brother, community service for your parents, restitution, and you dropped the felonies. I laughed so hard I had to sit down. When I could breathe again I said, "Tell them my counteroffer is final." I emailed it an hour later, typed in 12-point Garamond because I wanted it to look like the contract it was. 1. Jonah pleads guilty to felony grand theft auto. No reduction. No unauthorized use loophole. 2. He reads a full confession in open court, every word out loud, no summary. 3. Mom and Dad plead no contest to conspiracy and theft by taking. 4. Full restitution, impound fees detailing new tires he'd apparently done donuts in a field, and every Uber I took while they had my car. 5. 5-year no-contact order enforceable by jail time. 6. They never speak my name in public again unless it's to admit they were wrong. Take it or we see you at trial with the jury pool I will personally hand-select from every eldest daughter in the city. They took it. Court day was cold enough to bite. Jonah wore an orange jumpsuit that made him look 12 and ancient at the same time. Mom had attempted grieving soccer mom chic. The effect collapsed under the weight of her fury every time her eyes found me. Dad stared at the floor like it might open and swallow him if he prayed hard enough. Their side of the gallery was packed. Grandma in her Sunday coat, aunts clutching tissues like rosaries, cousins who'd spent years liking Jonah's posts about fake friends, while ignoring every milestone I ever hit. My side had 3 people: Mara, my attorney Patricia Hernandez, who charged more per hour than Jonah had ever earned in a month and was worth triple, and me. When the judge asked Jonah to read the statement, the paper rattled so hard I could hear it from the back row. I, Jonah Harper, stole my sister Lena Harper's 2023 Audi Q5 on November 8th. I knew the car was paid for with money she earned. I knew the title was in her name only. I knew I had no permission. I took it anyway because I have spent my entire life believing that if I needed something and Lena had it, it was automatically mine. That belief was wrong. What I did was theft. Not borrowing, not sharing, not family helping family. Theft. I am sorry for the harm I caused the person who has spent her whole life cleaning up my messes. He had to stop 3 times to breathe. Mom's sob was loud enough to echo off the ceiling. Dad's knuckles went white around the bench in front of him. Judge Ramirez removed her glasses and looked at my parents the way you look at mold you're about to bleach out of existence. Mr. and Mrs. Harper, you raised one child to treat another child like a resource to be mined. Today that ends. You do not get to steal from your daughter because you decided she was born to serve. That is not parenting. That is predation wearing a family photograph. She approved every single one of my conditions. Then she looked right at me and added something no one had ever said to me in 31 years. Miss Harper, the court apologizes that it took this long for someone with authority to tell you that your worth is not negotiable. I walked out without looking back. The restitution check arrived 10 days later. Memo line for the car. No sorry. No love. Just the transaction they could no longer refuse. I bought the heaviest steering wheel lock on the market, a hardwired GPS tracker, and a Ring camera that watches Spot 17C like it's the Hope Diamond. Then I framed the check and hung it where the spare key used to live. 9 months later the reflexes are almost gone. I still reach for my phone sometimes when an unknown number calls, but the panic is a whisper now, not a scream. I made partner. I bought a condo with a gated garage, and a keypad no one else will ever know the code to. Friday nights are wine and takeout with the sisters I chose, Mara, Patricia, 2 other women who cut their families out like cancer and never once regretted the surgery. We trade war stories and laugh until we cry, and the tears taste like freedom. Jonah writes letters from whatever program the court forced him into this time. No more blame. No more you owe me. Just slow, painful sentences about meetings, sponsors, and the first job he's kept longer than a month. I read them. I don't answer. That choice is still mine. Mom tried once. Showed up at my new building with a homemade lasagna, and the face she used to wear when she wanted me to fix everything. Security called me. I watched on the lobby camera while she stood there for 23 minutes waiting for the old Lena to come down and make it all okay. I never moved. She left the lasagna. I gave it to the security guard. He said it was dry. Sometimes people ask if I miss them. I miss the version of them that lived in my head when I was little. The one that would have protected me instead of picking my pockets while telling me I was lucky to have family. I do not miss the real ones. I kept every screenshot, every voicemail, every tear-stained text begging me to think of the family I was destroying. I bound them into a black leather book with gold lettering. Evidence that I was right all along. It sits on my shelf between my master's degree and the partner announcement, and the framed restitution check. Proof. I don't need it anymore. But it's nice to have. Some nights I still stand at the window with cold coffee and watch my Audi sleep under its club, its tracker blinking steady green, its camera keeping watch like a loyal dog. It's just a car. But it's the first thing that ever belonged to me completely, Legally, morally, undeniably. And no one gets to vote on whether I'm allowed to keep it. So I ask you, because I need to know I'm not the only one. When the people who were supposed to love you most kept carving pieces off you to feed someone else. When they told you your pain didn't matter because you were strong. When exactly would you have said enough? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Because none of us should have to burn the village down just to prove we were on fire. And if you're still holding the match, light it. You deserve to be warm too.